Hey there, welcome back. Our next conic is the ellipse. This is the shape that planets go around their suns, or moons go around planets, and so on. Very important shape. It has some interesting properties. Just like the parabola that had the focus point, these have two foci, and I'll call this f sub 2. And they are a distance c from the center. Now, when we're centered at the origin, like we are here, that distance here is c. And c is defined as, I have it defined here, but I think better to be here. C squared is a squared minus b squared. And I want to make it clear, this lead a here is always the larger of A or B. So they may need to be B squared minus A squared. And that's all based on this equation here. Actually, both of these. This one is where the ellipse is centered at the origin. This one is where the ellipse is centered at HK and not at the origin. Now, A, that's underneath the X portion, that's how far from the center you go in the X direction, and the B is how far you go from the center the Y direction. It's possible that it's going to, and by the way, the longer of the two axes is called the major axis, and the foci are always on the major axis. So that takes us to here. So for example one, we're going to find the vertices, the foci of an ellipse. And what I need to do is put it into this form here, meaning equals 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that by dividing everything by 81. That changes the equation to become x squared over 9 plus y squared over 81 equals 1. Now we can see A in this case is 3 because 9 is 3 squared. B in this case is 9 because 81 is 9 squared. So we know that we are going to be going a distance, if we were to graph this, just real quick, we don't have to graph this particular one. And in the X direction, we're going 3. Here we're going 9. So the graph would look something like this. So we know that the vertices are going to be down here. 0, -9. Here we're at 0, 9. So that answers the first part of the foci. Once again, we are going to get that c squared is going to be the larger of the two. In this case, that's the 81. So that's going to be 81 minus 9, which is 72. Which means we get that c squared equals 72. That c is plus or minus root 72, which I believe is plus or minus 6 root 2. So the foci is the plural of focus, are going to be at 0, 6 root 2, at 0, negative 6 root 2. So we are looking good. So here are the vertices, 0, 9 and 0, negative 9 of the major axis. Not too bad. So now let's build some more equations of lines. All right. Finding with a foci at 0, 4 and 0, negative 4, and the length of the major axis is 14. Let's piece together what that looks like. So we are at, the foci are at -4 down here and +4 up here, but which are on the major axis. The major axis is up and down, which means that we're up here at 7 and -7 because the major axis is going to be 14 total. Now, what we don't know is how far out it goes. We just know that 14 is going to be larger than whatever this axis is going to be. So let's work backwards here. So we know that B is 7 and C is 4. So that, and we know that 7 is the larger of the two. So this is actually going to be C squared equals B squared minus A squared in this case. And that's going to be 6, I'll just write 4 squared. B squared is 7 squared minus A squared. This means that -A squared is equal to, so 16 minus 49, -33. So A squared is +33. A is plus or minus √33. But we actually only need A squared. So here we go. Our equation is going to be x squared over 33, right? A squared plus y squared over 49 equals 1. All right. Next up, I have some ellipses. So for the first one, find the center. The center in this case is going to be, remember you change the sign, so that's +1, -2. So let's, so +1 and -2 is the center. And from there in the x direction, I'm going to go a distance of 6. Let's use purple for this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can see our ellipse. Not the best drawing, but you get the idea. And we were not asked to find the foci for this one, which is fine. This next one's going to take a bit more work. So for part B, I'm going to factor by completing this square. And I'm going to complete the square, take the 4 squared, that's going to be +4. And for the y's, I'm going to factor out a 16. 96 divided by 16, 6. So this gives us 16 on the outside, y squared plus 6y. Now, when I complete the square, I have to be really careful here. Take the 6, cut it in half squared, that's 9, so +9. I didn't actually add 9 there. What I added was 16 times 9. So this is going to, and I'm going to go ahead and move that 4 over, so that's a -4 plus 4 plus, and 16 times 9 is 144. So what do we end up with? X minus 2 squared plus 16 y plus 3 squared equals, you can just get 144. And what we're, now, we know that 16 times 9 is 144. So when I divide, that's going to be over 9. Equals 1. So it looks like we have a center at +2, -3. Let's see what that looks like. +2, -3, so we're down here. And in the x direction, I'm going 12. That's 144. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And up and down, we are going 9. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's see what our ellipse looks like. A little pointy at the end, but we get the idea. All right. Next up. Example 4. So find the equation for each ellipse. So we're going to build our equation again. We have a center at -1, and then -3, 1, a vertex at -3, 10, and a focus at -3, 6. So let's piece that together. So they're all at -3. So let's draw. So we're back here. And the center is at -3, 1. Vertex is up at 10. So I'll call that 10. And focus is at 6. 6 and 10. All right, so we know that C is a distance of 5, it looks like. 5. And we know that this is the major axis, so that's going to be 9. So it looks like B is 9 in this case. So from that, we can get A. Oh, and we already know that the center, this is HK. HK. And remember, we got to switch the signs on that. So we get 5 squared equals 9 squared minus A squared. So it looks like what we're getting is going to be 81 minus, so 25 minus 81, 56. So negative A squared equals negative 56, which means A squared equals 56. Okay, so we have all the pieces that we need for this. This is part A. So we have x plus 3, right? It's the opposite sign, over 56, plus, and y minus 1 squared over 81, b squared equals 1. So there's part A. All right, so it's kind of like a puzzle. Let's do part B. So we have 2 foci. It looks like, again, we are up and down. So we are back here at -1. And the foci are at 2. So -4 and 2. 2. And halfway between those, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those together and divide by 2. That means that our center is at -1. So the center, in this case, is going to be at -1, -1. And there's our h and our k. Length of the major axis is here. So that means from -1, we're going to go up 7 and down 7 to get our 14. So -1 plus 7. So -1 plus 7 is 6. So we know B is 7 in this case. Oh, we know that C is 3, right? We're a distance of 3 from here to here and from there to there, which means 3 squared equals 7 squared minus A squared. So let's do 9 minus 49 Okay, so that gives us that negative a squared equals negative 40, which means a squared equals 40. We now have all the pieces that we need. So we have our center, and remember it's opposite signs. So it's going to be x plus 1 squared over 40 plus y plus 1, opposite sign, over b squared, which is 49, equals 1. All right. Let's do an application. We have a hall 120 feet in length is to be designed as a whispering gallery. If the foci are located 35 feet from the center, how high will the ceiling be at the center? So we are looking at (120 feet. And we're going to assume the center's here. And we, of course, can just figure out we are going to be going 35 feet. So C in this case is actually our 35. This is our major axis, obviously. So half that's going to be 60. So A is 60. And from there, we're going to have 35 squared equals 60 squared minus b squared. And that will b will be the height to the ceiling to make this work. So here we go. So 60 squared minus 35 squared is 2375. So actually it's negative b squared is negative 2375, which means b squared is 2375, which means b, or the height of the ceiling, is going to be the square root of that. Now, normally I would do plus or minus, but that's not necessary in this case because we know that the ceiling is going to be in the positive. Let's see what that looks like. So square root, previous answer. There it is. So it's about 48.73 feet tall ceiling. Cool stuff. All right, and we have a couple more graphs to do. All right, graph the ellipse. So this is just straight up graph the ellipse. This one down here is going to be a little bit more involved because we're going to have to complete the square and so on and so forth. This one's already done for us. Our center is going to be at 3, -2. So 3, -2 is our center. In the x direction, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the y direction, I'm going 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And there you can see the ellipse already. No problem. Again, to be clear, the center in this case is a +3, -2. A is 4, B is 3, and we could even figure out C from that, but that's not necessary. Major axis is here, it's a distance of 8. All right, for this last example, I'm going to do some completing the square. So I'm going to rewrite this as, let me start up here, 4x squared minus 2x. Now to complete the square there, I'm going to add a 1, right? Half of 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. But be careful because I'm actually adding a 4. Let's take care of the y's. So factor a 9 out. Y squared plus 4y. Now, to complete the square, I'm going to add a 4. In reality, I'm adding a 36. So actually what I'm getting, I'm going to move that 36 to the other side of the equation. So -36 plus 4 plus 36, right? Plus 4 plus 36. So in reality, and you can see the 36's go away, we just end up with a 4. If I divide through by 4, I just emphasize all put it over 1. Now this one is a little weird. 1 plus 2 squared. So if I divide by, let me show you actually what I'm doing here. So I'm actually getting a 9/4, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it as 1/4/9, because I need to go into the denominator. I know that looks really weird. Now this means that the center is at 1, -2. A is 1, B is 2/3, which is weird, but we'll do our best. All right, center is at 1, -2, 1, -2 down here. A is here, and B is 2/3 of the way, making our smallest ellipse ever. Cute little thing. I hope that helps.